Systems perspective. A way of looking at individuals and their complex environment, the interactive patterns between people, groups, and institutions. System. A group of objects within a boundary. Each object has a defined function and structural relationship to the other objects within the system. The objects are engaged in a dynamic process. For example, a plant is made of roots, stem, leaves, flowers, and seed. Each is vital for necessity for the plants, according to von Bertalanffy. A system is a dynamic order of parts and processes standing in mutual interaction. Meaning, it focuses on the whole picture, or a holistic approach, not just a single element, but an appreciation for interaction among different components. It provides social work with a tool for analyzing and organizing data about the client and offers many options of intervention. Ecosystem perspective. Ecology. According to Germain, 1973, the science concerned with the adaptive fit of organisms and their environments, and with the means by which they achieve a dynamic equilibrium and mutuality. Systems and ecology are linked by viewing the person as a system, the environment of the person as a system, and the fit in transactions between person and environment ecologically. An adaptive balance between man and environment, for example, wood is ecologically friendly in a way that relates since it comes from natural sources. To understand the individual, we should consider his and her context. Individuals exist within families. Families exist within communities and neighborhoods. Individuals, families, and neighborhoods exist in a political, economic, and cultural environment. The environment impacts the actions, beliefs, and choices of the individual. Microsystem is the immediate relation of child, for example, his or her family, friends, neighbors. Next, is the mesosystem. It is in connection with the microsystem, a social connection, a relationship, an interactio between various settings. Exosystem is an indirect involvement of the environment, for example a board of trustee of a certain school. We may not know them but they can affect our lives by making tuition higher than before, or by making policies that will directly affect us as a student of such university. Macrosystem is a product of the society as a whole, and how does it affect a child? Cultural norms, belief, cultural values. This is how society view a certain race, phytostigma, theory race, gender orientation. That is the macrosystem affecting our lives. Lastly, the chronosystem. If we say chronosystem, first thing will come to our mind is time. It is when a child experiences a significant event. For example, a parent got to divorce. It can affect differently when the child is 3 years old compared to 20 years old. Each system influences one individual's behavior. Each person's behavior is the product of their environment. That is why we need to know all the different systems in our lives. If we all look the individuals by himself and not by this system, it would unfair to him. We must look at him as a whole and his environment. Empowerment perspective. We help people help themselves. Starts with developing a partnership with our client. Process involves helping the client. Develop critical thinking. Reduce self-blame. Assume responsibility. Enhance self-efficacy, Timberlake et al. 2008. Empowerment perspective refers to measure designed to increase degree of autonomy and self-determination in people and in community which enable them to represent their interest in responsible and determined way acting in their own authority. According to World Bank, empowerment is a process of increasing the capacity of individuals or groups to make choices and to transform those choices into desired actions and outcomes. Central to this process are actions which both build individual and collective assets, and improve the efficiency and fairness of the organizational and institutional context which govern the use of these assets. It's like an intervention trying to help a client that is believes be able to provide with training, skills and resources that would enable them to be independent, that they can stand on their own. Another definition quoted by Stromquist 1993. It is a multi-dimensional concept that has both cognitive and psychological elements, women's understanding of their conditions of subordination and the causes of such subordination at the micro and macro levels of society. It involves understanding the self and the need to make choices that may go against cultural and social expectations. Every time that people are moved to collective action, there will be resistance to that group of people. Empowerment is the synthesis of a wide range of knowledge that connects issues of social and economic justice with personal anguish and difficulty. Timberlake 2008. A multi-dimensional social process that helps people gain control over their own lives. It is a process that fosters power, that is, the capacity to implement, in people, for use in their own lives, their communities, and in their society, by acting on issues that they define as important. Page and Zuba 1999. Empowerment perspective. Multi-dimensional multi-level. A goal and a social process. Elements: critical thinking, access to information, inclusion and participation, accountability, organizational capacity. Cultural sensitivity. According to Stafford et al., cultural sensitivity means being aware that cultural differences and similarities exist and have an effect on values, learning, and behavior. Component of cultural sensitivity. Valuing and recognizing the importance of one's own culture. Valuing diversity. Realizing that cultural diversity will affect an individual's communication and participation in education in various ways. A willingness to adapt one's communication and behaviors to be compatible with another's cultural norms. A willingness to learn about the traditions and characteristics of other cultures. Facilitating family-centered practices and cultural sensitivity. Social workers/case managers can address confidentiality issues by reviewing the confidentiality policies of their workplace with their immediate supervisor, going through the proper channels in your school in order to obtain child information, discussing information about a child or family only with people who are directly responsible and who need to have the information. Never discussing information about a child or family, in a public place, with a supervisor, with another child, with parents of another child, who are not of the team, and not creating personal files on a child or family. Interacting and communicating culturally sensitive ways. Although social workers or case managers may have contact with families, remember that primary communication should be the responsibility of the social worker. Relationships with families are strengthened when you speak about children and family members in optimistic ways. It is important for social workers to indicate a willingness to listen to the child and the family. Interacting and communicating in cultural sensitive ways. Active listening includes listening fully, without interrupting, clarifying, acknowledging, reflecting, or expanding and building on what is being said. Effective communication is enhanced when empathy is conveyed. Empathy can be developed by consistently trying to put yourself in another's shoes. Interacting and communicating in culturally sensitive ways. Avoid interactions that might be demeaning to the child or family, for example, such as talking about the child in his or her presence. Speak to children in a chronologically age-appropriate manner, for example, avoid baby talk. Be persistent in maintaining open communication. If miscommunication occurs, view it as a problem to be solved and an opportunity to find new ways to communicate. Be sensitive to the fact that there are basic differences in the ways people of different cultures communicate, such as through the different use of words, voice, and body language. Within each culture there are individual differences in the way people communicate. Be honest and willing to take risks and make mistakes. All these perspectives or theories plays a key role in the advancement of society. Only by looking at all parts can we have greater understanding of the whole and how it works.